Why are you actually arresting me for?
You've been arrested on suspicion of murder, Cameron. That's already happened, okay?
She didn't die, did she? Please tell me she didn't die.
Cameron, you're under caution.
Oh, mate!
Cameron, just remind you that you're under caution. A body worn video is recorded. All right?
Yes! No!
Exeter Park killer Cameron Davis has been jailed for life for the murder of a random stranger, Lorna, England. The 31-year-old, who has shown no remorse, must spend a minimum of 28 years in prison. He stabbed the 74-year-old grandmother through the heart as she walked home from Lidl through the Ludwell Valley Park. He was angry about losing his accommodation and not being given a hospital bed for mental health issues. Earlier this week, a jury at Exeter Crown Court rejected his claim that he had diminished responsibility for his crime and convicted him of murder. He returned to court on Thursday morning to be sentenced by Mrs Justice Stacey. She said this was a planned and premeditated attack. It was the terrible fate of Lorna to be walking through that part of the park when you were also there. You took her phone from her. She had perhaps been trying to summon help. Her family will never know what happened, as you refused to say. She said there was evidence Lorna fought back violently against her attacker before Davis callously left her on the ground to die. She said it was not a case of a mentally ill man being failed by the authorities, but an angry killer with a personality disorder and narcissistic characteristics, not getting his own way. The truth is that you were able to make rational choices. You chose to commit this shocking act to punish the hospital, mental health services, and police and all the people who tried to help you in anger because you did not get what you wanted. The court was read moving victim impact statement by Lorna's children and grandchildren, who described their heartbreak at losing their fit and active mum and grandmother, and the trauma thinking about her horrific final moments when she met her evil and cowardly killer. Lorna, a fit and active woman, set out from her home to buy flour from Lidl in Burnhouse Lane at 3 p.m. on February the 18th, 2023. Her husband of 52 years, David, was waiting at home. He usually made her a cup of tea when she returned. Her route took her through the park and close to Wanford Sports Centre. CCTV showed Davis loitering about the back of the sports centre, drinking vodka. At 3:55 p.m, Davis attacked Lorna in a wooded area near a bridge before she reached home. She died at the scene from a knife wound that penetrated her chest, a depth of 12 centimetres. She also had a slash to her knee and defensive wounds on her hand. Davis was well known to mental health services. He had worked in construction but had been homeless at different times. He had a background of heavy drug use and spent time in prison for supply offences. During one spell inside, he exhibited disturbing and bizarre behaviour. One assessment by a psychiatrist described him as a malingerer, or someone who faked psychotic symptoms. He was diagnosed with emotionally unstable personality disorder. In January, he was living in temporary accommodation at a guest house in Exeter Road, Exmouth, and he told his support worker that he thought his mental health was deteriorating. He also developed a fixation and threatened to smash her head in. On January the 28th, he was assessed by 2 psychiatrists after saying he would either kill himself or someone else. It was decided he did not need to be sectioned. On February the 16th, he was given notice to leave his accommodation. On the day he killed Lorna, England, Davis called the police at 4:40 a.m. and told them that unless he was arrested, he would set fire to his flat or commit suicide. He told ambulance crew who took him to the A&E that he would harm a random member of the public if he was discharged from hospital, and boasted about having got away with his crimes before.
Cameron, you taking any drugs or anything tonight, or any booze?
Only alcohol. Only alcohol.
Only alcohol, yeah? What have you had? Do you remember?
I don't actually know, to be honest. No. I took...
What? Try and remember.
a vodka, bottle of vodka,
Yeah.
2 bottles of vodka.
Yeah.
I did that thing earlier. I acted. I assume that's what you heard. What are you actually arresting me
You've been
for?
arrested on suspicion of murder, Cameron. That's already happened.
She
okay?
didn't
You're
die,
under
did she? Please tell me she didn't die.
Cameron, you're under caution.
Oh, man,
Camera,
she didn't
just
die.
remind you that you're under caution. A body worn video is recorded.
He was assessed by 2 experienced mental health nurses who decided he did not need to be admitted to hospital under the Mental Health Act because he was not psychotic. Davis left the hospital at 12:49 p.m. His movements over the next few hours were recorded on CCTV. Shortly after 1 p.m, he went to Lidl where he bought the kitchen knife. He later told the jury he was contemplating suicide. Davis walked into the park at 3:50 p.m, just as Lorna England was leaving Lidl. The last sighting of Lorna alive was CCTV of her walking along a path in Ludwell Valley Park, with Davis at about 11 seconds behind her. A member of the public walking her dog at 3:55 p.m. saw a man and woman near the bridge. She said it looked as if the male was blocking the woman's path. She heard the woman cry out in pain and collapse. Davis walked away from the scene, telling the witness she'd had a fit or something. He was later seen behaving strangely and bothering customers in the Dolphin pub before getting a lift to the Ship and Pelican in Heavytree. He tried to buy a drink in the Horse and Groom, but had no money. He was arrested outside the Yorkshire Bank in High Street at 9:30 p.m. He said, "I effing warned you. Why didn't they listen?" Dr. Imran Jetam told the jury he had assessed Davis about 3 weeks before the killing. He said, "We didn't think he was suffering from a psychotic illness or a mental disorder at that stage." He said, "We didn't think he was a risk to himself or others." Davis told the trial he could remember events before and after the killing, but not the moment itself. Joe Martin, KC, prosecuting, said the starting point for the sentence was a minimum of 25 years. Davis has brought a knife and taken it to the scene and selected a lone female walking in a wooded area. There was a significant planning and premeditation. From a very early in the morning, he was telling people that he intended to kill a random stranger if he did not get what he wanted. He selected and purchased a knife big enough to kill and much bigger than required if he was simply seeking to end his own life, and he selected a victim he could kill. Cameron Davis always had a choice, not because he was mentally disordered. He may have been struggling with his thoughts, but not as a result of a mental disorder. Joss Ticehurst, defendant, said Davis' mental health was deteriorating in the weeks leading up to the murder. Members of Lorna's family were in court to hear the sentence. Several read out statement outlining the devastation caused by her death and condemned Davis for his lack of remorse. Husband David described Lorna as his soulmate, the eldest of 9 siblings and the rock of the family. He said his life will never be the same, and he will never forget the moment a police officer sat him down to tell him his wife had been murdered. It constantly plays on my mind how somebody and so evil. He said, "It breaks my heart that the last face she saw was yours, a coward, a brutal monster." Laura was my guiding light, my soulmate, and had everything to live for. He said they had planned a future together that had been destroyed by Davis' heinous and deliberate act. There is now a massive emptiness in my heart without her. I never expected not to be able to say goodbye. All our lives have been utterly destroyed by you, Cameron Davis. Because of your uncontrollable temper and deliberate actions, Lorna is no longer alive. No punishment you receive will ever be adequate compared to the pain and torture you inflicted on Lorna and her family. Mrs Justice Stacey said Davis was the only person responsible for the murder. You have a cluster B personality disorder with emotionally unstable, narcissistic and antisocial characteristics. You do not have a psychotic illness. You are wholly focused on yourself and are attention-seeking. Your mood can change quickly and you are prone to anger. Your personality disorder does not significantly reduce your culpability and did not diminish your responsibility for Lorna's death. She added, it is a feature of your personality that you blame others and seek to shift responsibility for your own actions, bound up with your sense of grievance and victimhood, but left me be absolutely clear, you were wholly responsible for Lorna's death, and no one but you is anywhere to blame. This is not a case of society being failed by the police or public services. Only you knew that you would carry out the threats, and you had made many times before empty threats. Judge Stacey finished by praising family. My last words must be to Lorna's amazing family to acknowledge once again their terrible loss and thank them for sharing their powerful statement about the impact of this crime on their lives. Please like this video, please comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my crime channel. Thank you.